Just kidding. Oh. Kathleen, you can take it away.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the agenda. Well, I have the agenda. I'm trying to find the Wi-Fi. So. What am I doing first?
He's welcome.
Oh, hi, everybody. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda? Did you want to?
The
Oh.
item that you sent out.
Yeah, is that possible to add to
Yeah.
the agenda? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, Kathleen, if you want to do it under new business or if we just want to do it as an update, either one I think would work.
Maybe new business?
Sure. So we're adding, like, it's not the SLT Marsh Committee, but did the request come from the Marsh Committee to join the kind of NOAA
Right,
Scarborough
so,
Marsh Resiliency Project?
so Scarborough Land Trust has its own marsh committee.
Yeah.
The committee that was inviting somebody from the commission to take part is the committee around the NOAA grant.
Yeah.
Which we facilitate, but it's obviously a number of parties that are involved in that, so. So it is marsh related and SLT is overseeing it.
I'm adding SLT NOAA grant rep under new business. Okay, perfect. And also, since we are now hybrid, because Creighton has joined us
Okay.
online, I need to do roll call. Thanks. Which is my favorite thing. So I will take attendance, doing roll call. April.
Here.
Pete.
Here.
Christine.
Here.
Kathleen.
Here.
Randy. Here. Creighton.
Here, a little sick, sorry, guys. Feel better.
Thanks for being here. And it looks like Cressy got bumped off, so hopefully she is able to rejoin later. Oh, sorry, and you have land acknowledgement. I skipped right
Yes,
over that.
no, that's okay. Yes, so we'll start. Let us begin by bringing our minds and hearts together to focus on our mission of responsible stewardship of Scarborough's lands and waters for generations to come. For generations before us, many people have protected these places we love. The places where we live and work are the original homelands of the Wabanaki people, including the Owaskawag people who once lived here in what we now know as Scarborough. I honor the care and respect with which they have stewarded these lands and waters. The lands and waters are unceded territory, and the struggle for Wabanaki sovereignty continues to this day. Our work to protect the lands and waters reflects our commitment to wise and responsible stewardship for all the future generations. Let us begin by holding this responsibility strongly in our minds, even as we face criticism and opposition. So the next. Does anybody have any comments or additions to the minutes from last meeting?
Thorough as always.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Do we get a second? Okay. 2 seconds.
And I think that because we're missing some folks, Kathleen and Creighton get to vote tonight. It's very exciting for you
okay.
all. So.
You mean me? Yeah, Christine. Yes.
Christine, I'm sorry.
I think she can.
I
always-
was like, I get to vote tonight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the.
All right.
Exciting.
The Creighton, Cressy, Kathleen, Christine.
Yeah. You can call me whatever.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna roll call then. Eagle,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Randy. Yes. Creighton,
Yes.
Cressy.
Thumbs
Thumbs up, thank you. All right.
Yes, yes.
There she is.
Yay. Okay, I finally got it up, thank you. We have public comment. Andrew, do you have any?
Just one short announcement, if I can. We're partnering on a program next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. at Print, a bookstore in Portland. And it's this author right here, From Eyes and the Soles of My Feet. I'll just read you the subtitle: From Horseshoe Crafts to Sycamores, Exploring Hidden Connections in the Natural World. So it should be pretty good.
That's next program.
Next Tuesday.
Who's the author of that book?
The author,
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn Sutton. I don't know her, she's not from Maine. But it's an interesting book,
And what time is it at?
7 o'clock.
Do you have anybody online?
No, I don't think we. Right, no. Moving on.
Okay. Old business.
Yeah.
Our
So,
favorite.
our favorite project, so Spurwink Marsh Restoration and Sawyer Street Removal Project. I was very proud of the Scarborough Town Council for voting to move forward with road discontinuance with a vote of 6-1. So there will be a public hearing on November 5th and a final vote on November 19th. However, Cape Elizabeth voted not to continue with their process, so they're not even going to entertain road removal, so that effectively kills the project. So we kind of need to regroup Scarborough and Cape Elizabeth and figure out the path forward. So at this point, we are likely to return the grant money to MNRCP so that they can make more grants and do more good work, because this project won't be put forward
That was the largest
ever.
ever, right?
Wow.
Largest award ever made.
Did
Wow.
you, was that under you, did you apply for that?
Yeah, it was a group effort, yeah. Cape Elizabeth was the lead, but I was the kind of the point person for Scarborough, and then Wells Reserve and US Fish and Wildlife also assisted.
Have they been notified? Or did they?
There, well, yes, yeah, I mean, so we're still doing check-in meetings. We've got another one scheduled for next week, just to kind of mourn, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, even though US Fish is essentially shut down because of the government shutdown, they've still been able to participate in our meetings because they were calling it infrastructure, which it was. So there are certain categories that they can work on, and infrastructure was one. And so they were still at least in the loop with our meetings and what was happening and following the progress.
Is there any benefit whatsoever in this process for the town council with discontinuance of the road? Like,
Yeah, there is.
like literally to formally discontinue the road so that it's set up
Yeah.
for future decisions?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one politically for
Yeah.
them to follow through with. I know, I mean, there are more than just me on staff who would love to see that happen.
Well, I know Tom, in an article on the Press Herald basically said, we're not gonna be fixing the road.
Right.
So
Yeah,
why not vote to discontinue it on the Scarborough side and then have everything in place? If something changes at some point on the Cape Elizabeth side, et cetera, just
Yeah,
to formalize. the
Such a
process.
fascinating,
I'm just wondering.
you know, if we were to shut our section of the road down, it's just such a fascinating thing that we could decide what the usage is of a road that connects two places.
Yeah.
And the fact that I know there's a DOT relationship here, but that each town has, rights over it,
Yeah.
what to do with it.
yeah, and DOT no longer has anything to do with that
Wow.
road. They
Good for them.
don't want to have anything
Yeah.
to do with that road.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we've just been kind of interacting with them because they did do the culvert replacement back in 1964.
Right.
That was
It's
very,
very inexpensive.
very innovative.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's fluff.
Yeah, the innovation there is that, the town of Scarborough didn't spend money to tie in the rest of the grade of the road so that it wouldn't flood. That was the innovation. So we just were like, oh, okay, it's gonna continue flooding, and like, we weren't thinking about road design then the way we think about road design now. So, yeah, Cressy, you have a comment? Question?
Yeah, I just wanted to guess, do you have a sense of why this turned so quickly? I mean, it was just the lawyer ginning these people up at the last minute and they all folded so quickly. I'm just so surprised because this was apparently, it wasn't initially Cape Elizabeth who came,
Yeah.
it was, so I'm just, what's your sense of the bureaucratic or political dynamic that happened there?
The public started paying attention when it got real.
Okay.
And so, there was
May I add, it has always been an open process.
Yeah.
We've known about it since at least 2022, and it's been active and public since before then.
Mhm.
So there's been this argument that it's only, this is the 11th hour that it's been a public process, which is incorrect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was the assertion that the towns went about this the wrong way because they already made up their mind about road discontinuance before they had the formal vote about road discontinuance, and honestly, like, discontinuance is binding, so we give up the road, but there's no going back from that, so we're not going to give up the road before we have funding in place to actually do the project.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, it kind of seems like this was a backwards process, but like, if you take a step back and look at like how, like what this, the requirements are. And there's the assertion, oh, well, you didn't even know what you were supposed to do because you had legal, time built into the grant. It's like, well, we just needed to make sure we were dotting every I and crossing every T, so we put money in there for legal, so we could make sure that we went through the road discontinuance process by the book, so that there could be no kind of disputing it later. Oh, and you didn't know like where the road right of way actually was, well, we just needed to confirm it, which is why we had money for survey in the grant, so that like, so that's why, like, there were delays with the grant getting contracts signed. Which delayed everything else, so there was kind of this year and a half lag when we were just waiting for everything to be finalized before we could begin work on the grant. And so I think everyone's memories are really short, and it was very compelling in February 2024 after we had 2 major storms that closed that road back to back. And people were on board, and 2025 has been a storm-free year. And so, memories fade, and it's not so bad having the road flood now. So yeah, it was just kind of the perfect combination of situations that I think led to this. And probably the towns should have done more outreach in the intervening time to kind of, let people know that this was happening. In hindsight, knowing what we know now, we would have done more even before we had things kind of like finalized. But we had unanimous support from both town councils and public processes along the way, so.
Did the town councilors change? Has been like a significant change in the town councilors that are there now?
Well, listen.
A little bit, but the ones that voted against it, in Cape Elizabeth this time around were in favor of it in 2024. And so at least one of them apologized for supporting the project back in 2024. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I feel like there was confusion when we went of like what the project meant. Cause they
Yeah.
were like, well, I voted for it, but I didn't realize the road would be taken out.
You're
And
like, what? You didn't read the information that was
Yeah,
provided
so
to you.
The word discontinuance didn't tip you off.
Well, and it wasn't even discontinuance, it was
Yeah.
literally called Sawyer Road Removal Project.
yeah, I guess they were like, oh yeah, I did, but I didn't know this would happen.
Oh, right.
It was just, yeah.
And I thought that Patrick Fox's presentation to the council was right on.
Yeah.
You know, everything, and I thought it was really, really strongly together and well versed and answered the questions that were asked. Yeah. It's, you know, the road's gonna go eventually anyway, so nature, I guess, eventually will take its course, but it's just gonna be a much more expensive
I think the word was goo,
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's-
I had to follow the
that
group.
came up in our
Yeah.
council meeting.
and
The
thought-
goo is
Yes,
going
the
to
road
goo leak into the marsh.
Mm.
So yeah, it's, you know, very disappointing. Like I said, we're still having the public hearing on, November 5th. So, all good comments were made this evening about let's just discontinue it anyway, or what is the plan in terms of maintenance? That road needs some work,
I
so.
guess, Jamie, I didn't know if there was any benefit legally for the town to literally discontinue the road and then say, Kate, it's on you to fix anything you wanna fix or maintain. That's what I was kind of getting.
Yeah, I mean, if the town does give up the road, the land goes to the abutters, so,
Mm. Oh,
um,
interesting.
so Kate
All
essentially
the butters,
on either from the center line, it goes,
so not adjacent to butters, which would be US Fish.
it is US Fish, they do get some. And then one of the private landowners, would get a little bit of it as well. And it's from the center line, so.
Okay, gotcha.
So really, if the town gives up rights to the road, it becomes private property essentially,
Did you work against that?
so.
So we should all show up on November
We
fifth.
still should.
If we are able and make our public comments.
Or,
to-
or email your comments
Yeah.
to the council also,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, I think there are concerns about liability because the road is in poor shape. Pat Fox made the comment that, the pools that are forming on either side of the road are getting pretty deep. There probably should be guardrails on,
Mm.
Safety.
on that road.
Mm.
Which will severely limit people's ability to walk and bike on that road if you're because there's no shoulder. I mean, it's crumbling pavement on the fog line, so. You can continue reaching out to the council and, coming and making public comment because, in my mind, there are still a lot of unknowns for like where this goes next.
I also wrote to our town council, and then I also wrote to Cape Council, which I think is also an important part of the equation. As a Scarborough resident and taxpayer, I don't want to be responsible. I don't think any of our residents need to be responsible for their decision about this road.
Mhm.
We don't need to be liable for emergency response on that road if they decided to keep it and we want to discontinue it. We don't wanna have to pay for upkeep. We don't wanna have to pay for their decision or their thought that somewhere in the future, there's gonna be another federal grant available to do this work. No, there's not. And I also heard comment that who's gonna wanna work with the town of Cape Elizabeth after they
Mhm.
pulled out of a collaboration
Right.
and pulled out of a grant that was in this place, so
They initiated.
I think it's worth continuing talking with Cape Council as well.
Do you have a comment, Creighton?
I'm just saying that pulling out of a move, something they initiated.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, they initiated it for sure.
Yeah, one thing I found interesting was that this was MNRCP funds, so it's all state funds
Yeah,
that will be used for this. It's not like a NIFWIF or National
Ah.
Wildlife Foundation grant or anything like that. We get, it's like. And both of our town councils are, vulnerability assessments have been done in the towns. Cape even adopted in its climate action plan strategies for adapting to climate change with. It just happened.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And there was one counselor in Cape who voted for discontinuance, made the argument that this project specifically aligned with several of the goals of the council.
Mm.
And
Yeah, that's their
and so-
climate action plan. that they
Yeah,
just-
yes, yeah.
Last year, I think.
Wow.
yeah, that was one of them aligned with kind of transportation safety, and a couple others, that was outlined in the article, the Press Herald article.
I
So,
mean, to me, this is like the role of disinformation and like political
It's also-
maneuvering.
It's also.
Yeah.
a lot of emotion.
There was a. lot.
Yeah, totally. No, and like the grief, I mean, that's like my comment at our town council,
Yeah.
like you could hear, and everybody I've talked to about the road, like just randomly, they're like, oh my God, that road, I love that road, you know, and it's like this weird kind of like,
But ultimately,
emotional.
people, it's a road.
yeah.
You know, we have a lot of decisions that we need to make as towns
Mm.
in the face of all this stuff that's happening, and. To me, as a scientist, that one was a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Win-win. All the way.
Funds were there. Towns agreed, model project. Both towns have vulnerability assessments. Both towns have that road as a low priority in terms of long-term resilience. You know, right?
Yeah, it
If we can stop kicking a.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question, like, I'm just trying to kind of game out what it would look like now, like, so say in 3 weeks, there's a big storm and the culvert gets washed out.
Good question.
I mean, like,
Oh.
my understanding is like, it's not like we can just get a guy and go fix it. It's super sensitive, I mean, that was one of the arguments, I
that's
think.
right, yeah.
He was like, hey, it's like,
I
I got
know
a guy,
Yeah,
and he,
Oh, right, Roger Dale.
yeah.
but I just mean like, I know that everyone's like, this will never happen, it'll be fine, let's fix it, but I mean, like, if it collapsed in 3 weeks, like, it would just be basically shut down until we,
Just like.
Get- get
It's
the
like
permit.
Bottom Hill Road.
yeah, I mean, I just wanted that to be,
Yeah.
but it's not,
Yeah.
it's a risk-based decision to just hope nothing happens until it collapses. And then even if it does, like, that's even outside of money, it's like,
Mhm.
might not have a choice to do anything else.
Mm.
Cause we're gonna need serious permits and everything, right, 'cause it's where it is.
Yeah, Army Corps will weigh in heavily.
Yeah, so. Anyway.
Yeah, yes, that is what would happen. I mean, like you said, Scotto Hill Road is the perfect example of that. The failure happened in May and it still hasn't been addressed, because we haven't budgeted for that one, but also it's in a sensitive area. We have a very small window when work can actually happen. And it's November to April.
Right.
So, we would be dealing with the exact same thing out there, so.
Thanks.
One side note that might relate to hindsight or future planning is that, I attended the, Cape Elizabeth Conservation Commission meeting for their first reading at the council. And I realized, you know, when I was chair, I'd never gone to any other Conservation Commission meeting anywhere else. And so this is the first time that I've gone to meet another Conservation Commission. And that's really cool to make connections with other and I know all the different commissions have different purposes, they're working on different kinds of projects. They didn't have this issue on their agenda, they were talking, I think, about trails and invasives. And so it just, you know, one, in hindsight, wow, maybe if I or we could have connected with the commission a few months earlier, or maybe the year before, or whatever, but also going forward, each of us may be able to go to different commissions, just sit in on their meeting, introduce ourselves and make connections. I think it's helpful.
Great. That's pollination.
Mhm.
Uh,
We did learn a lot of things.
I know, that's how as things can be in Scarborough, it seems like the process is a lot more, reasonable here.
Well, and then I observed it, like, the grass is actually greener in Scarborough for our governance process. It's like, wow, we have, we're very good. We have good staff, we have good council meetings. Governance is good here, at least in comparison from what I saw in other area.
Ought to be grateful.
All right, wanna move on? Sustainable Scarborough Day? Just looking for, thoughts and feedback on the Sustainable Scarborough Day. I will say, it was such a beautiful day and I'm really disappointed by that, because I think that we just had such low, I think the low attendance can somewhat be attributed to, how an 85-degree and sunny day in October.
Yeah.
The other thing that I will note, Jamie, is that my one of my friends said to me, oh yeah, it was printed as 12 to 2 in the, like, there's the like Cape Soco like newspaper.
Instead of-
And,
Oh,
yeah, 10 to 12, sorry, 10 to 12,
Oh, interesting.
instead of,
So
10 to
they cut
2.
off 2
Mm.
hours of our event. Interesting.
so, and
Mm.
you said, or somebody said that there were more people in the morning, maybe, I don't know who said that.
I think there was definitely more people in the.
Yeah.
morning.
And I wondered, I don't
Yeah.
know,
If everyone thought it ended at noon.
I don't know, I mean, even though all the signs said 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have-
But I don't know
Mhm.
if that played a role
Interesting.
too.
That's good
I mean, I'm sure that
information.
85-degree day.
I know.
Sure.
No, I mean, I thought it went well, and I wanna pass along my appreciation to everybody who spent the time to plan the table, put together the table and everything. I really just showed up, so my part was easier, but I mean, I think the kids enjoyed the leaf rubbing, and, you know, people came over and enjoyed talking to us about different things, so I thought it was successful.
Good.
Yeah, I think it was good that we had a take this year.
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
You know,
I was gonna say the week after.
I saw an exhibition last weekend of an inflatable, almost life-size humpback whale. Have you heard about this? And it's actually, so I thought, oh, this would be kind of cool for next year. And I'll pass on the contact information, but it's this inflatable whale and you can go inside. It's a feature, like they take it to schools and libraries. You can go inside and then there's somebody who teaches you like what it's like to be inside a whale. And this whale is actually Chunk. So it's named Chunk because an accident, there was a humpback whale named Chunk. Had its dorsal fin nicked by a boat. So they call it Chunk, because its chunk is taken out of the dorsal, but this whale actually died in Cape Elizabeth, was brought ashore. And so I guess its memory
So it's
still
based
lives.
on that.
Yeah,
Mm.
the story, that part of the story wasn't told during, the, you know, like, cause you've got kids.
Yeah.
And like, and this whale's actually dead. But I thought that was kind of a cool thing,
That is
maybe
really
you can
cool.
add it to Sustainable Scarborough Day and to have, you know, invite kids to come see, and adults, it's really kind of cool to be inside. Yeah, that's neat, tell the story.
Mhm.
And since it's like local, like it's off our coast right here.
Cool.
That's really neat. I love that.
Who owns Chunk?
It is a business called, I think it's called Within the Whale. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's, I think it's like one woman and she's got a car that's labeled with her business name, and this is all she does. Takes a chunk around the state, it's just state too.
Be interesting.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
That's
Neither
neat.
did I until last weekend.
Yeah, cool.
We did have things that people suggested. We asked for people's feedbacks and ideas, and we got someone said they would appreciate benches for put down near schools, benches near cleaners and Ace Hardware. Elsa said she'd like speakers at the library, so. If we have any ideas about speakers, maybe on sustainable pruning, this other person's, stop developments from ripping out all the trees to build houses, allow planting diversity. Community garden, this is somebody from Portland,
I think I talked to that person.
yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea of having like a community plots that people.
Yeah, so Scarborough used to have some,
Mhm.
off of, I wanna say Pine Point Road, and there was a thought to develop a new community garden out in like North Scarborough by the fire station out there.
Mhm.
And I don't know where things stand with that, but that was
Mhm.
kind of community services, most recent thought with that. And Cressy has a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I thought the table was wonderful, and to thank Christine for the activities that she came up with. I think they were very successful. My one disappointment was how few people showed up. The people that did show up, we had some good conversations. It's just, you know, I don't know what you can do. It's, you know, there was a whole bunch of kids and playing soccer and sports, you know, hop, skip and a jump away. I don't quite know why people did.
Yeah, it usually, you know, people, like when the soccer games let out, we do see an influx of people coming into Sustainable Scarborough Day, and that didn't happen, and part of me feels like it was just so too nice that they're like, no, we're going and doing something like outdoors in nature or at the beach or something
Yeah.
like that.
I get it. Yeah, but anyway, but I thought, you know, that I loved everyone there. I thought you had wonderful representation. So I thought it was very well organized and great, great groups, you know, at the day.
So I'll let you know, the Sustainability Committee, we met this morning and they were really disheartened by the event. And we're like, maybe we just shouldn't do it anymore.
No.
It's just
But-
hope. It was
You have a
just
banner?
Yeah, I know, I was like, we're gonna get a banner, like, so I think, you know,
Is this the second or the third one?
this is the third,
This was the third. Okay.
yeah.
The other two were good. right?
Yeah, the other two were good. And this one too, I think, like I said, you know, we had a good number of participants. One made the comment that it seemed like there were fewer, but I think people were lining up primarily away from the music, because I did let them know ahead of time, like, there's gonna be live music here, take that into consideration when you're choosing your spot. Because that was an issue last year with us needing to ask the band to move, which I felt really awful about. So they're like, yeah, this year we want to stay in one place. I'm like, I want you to stay in one place. That would be great. So yeah, I think, you know, things kind of set up just on one side of the bus loop and things like that. So,
Oh, where were the goats? Did the goats show
the
up?
goats were there. Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
were down closer to the beginning of the bus loop,
Okay.
in a grassy spot.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, I fed them peanuts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because they were
I think she
cute.
packed up a little early. I wanted to visit them as
Yeah,
well.
she said,
They were
like-
gone already.
She said like, she did reach out
Oh,
afterwards
yeah,
and
they
say
get-
that 2 hours was kind of like
Yeah.
their max, like they were starting to get a little restless.
Yeah,
and-
she said
Goats
that they don't really
attention
have that
span
attention
is-
span.
So I was like, I appreciate you reaching out and letting me know, because I was curious if like something happened and you just wanted to get out of here. She was like, yeah, no, we definitely would be interested in participating again in the future. So-
Well, in the future, they can mow the soccer field.
Yeah.
They say the goats started eating one of the electric cars. I ran into somebody I know from Portland who came to test drive an electric car.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh, cool.
no, they're-
There were
Like
some
we
people
got
that
some
weren't
people.
from town.
Yeah.
I was always asking people what neighborhood they're in, and I got a number of people that didn't even live in Scarborough.
Yeah, I did reach
Yeah.
out to kind of my counterparts in surrounding
Mhm.
areas to ask them to kind of help spread the word.
Mhm.
So. Yeah. We'll see. So yeah, I think I want to give it one more shot before we decide.
Yeah.
Mhm.
5 years, then make it.
Yeah, and then, cause I want the walk-through whale, and I also
Yeah.
want a marine touch tank.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that would go really well with the walk-through whale.
Presley's
yeah.
thumbs up on that.
Yeah.
Andrew?
What about live birds of prey or something?
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would show up for that.
Send up.
Yeah. you should.
The rabbits.
Autumn.
Hey, I would just offer, I really want us to figure out a way to incorporate Sustainable Scarborough Day with the farmers market. Cause I think we would get a lot more, just drive-by traffic too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
We could-
yeah, it's a hard spot up there. I don't think we would. Yeah, short of having them like move down to us for a day.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, our first year, we did approach them about that, and that was not something that they were really.
Yeah. I was just wondering, I still think that would make a good combination.
Is it possible to do something in like the high school parking lot, which is like
Make it a little closer.
there?
Instead of at Wentworth,
Mhm.
yeah, possibly.
I wonder if that would,
Mhm.
you know, cause then if somebody like at
Yeah,
the farmer's market is then.
Feels a little
just
more integrated.
Yeah.
A little closer. Yeah, Wentworth, like the bus loop is just such a perfect
Right.
spot, and then easy access to the restrooms and things like that,
Oh,
just
right.
like all of these other little things to think about. So, well, yeah, we can definitely consider that for the future. Are we good there?
I think so.
Autumn, is there anything for planning board since the middles came in this week?
No, we didn't get anything. We got an amended site plan and an advisory opinion, so you guys are off the hook.
Thank you. All right, so, I was hoping to kind of talk a little bit about, just gearing up for the town council's goal setting process in January. To kind of look through, and go over the 2 recent plans that were completed to help maybe give some ideas, that the town council may want to consider for goals that then the commission would, could kind of play a role in. And so I was planning to walk through, the open space plan and the vulnerability assessment, because, Open Space Conservation Commission was called out as having a role in some of the action items, not a lead role, more kind of like a review and advisory. And so we can go over that. And then thinking about the vulnerability assessment, staff, would like for kind of one of the first actions out of the vulnerability assessment for the town to be, for the council to adopt basically a scenario to design to. So, the state has, adopted kind of 1.6 feet by 2050 and 3.9 by 2100.
Heck,
1.5 and 4.
that 0.1 feet.
I know, it makes all the difference, all the difference to me. So just thinking about, so that's like when DOT's doing projects, that's what they're thinking about, what they're planning for. And so the town has projects, so thinking like when Scott O'Hill all happened, I was like, we need to be thinking about this because it is a tidal crossing. We need to be thinking about this and what we should be planning for the future. And so it'll be, we need to have some consistency and know kind of what standard we should be like thinking about as we are looking at resiliency projects in general, and then these other kind of like emergency projects that definitely are related to our vulnerability assessment and sea level rise and inundation and all of that stuff. So that was gonna be one of my thoughts, was to kind of look at the vulnerability assessment and make some recommendations to town council for what scenario they should be looking at. Scenarios really, because a lot of this depends on how long is the project supposed to last. So if we are talking about a stream crossing, those usually have a 70-year lifespan. So we should probably be looking at a higher, one of the longer term scenarios than a shorter term one.
Okay.
And Pete, feel free to weigh in and give your 2 cents.
I mean, it's constantly kind of a moving window, and when the state adopted 1.5 and 4, those were kind of center of the road predictions for the intermediate sea level rise scenario, so those numbers have slightly changed. Actually when we did the work to adopt these, the scenarios out to 2050 were like this. Now they're like this, so there's a lot better confidence in where things are gonna go, and it's gonna, it's that 1.5 foot number is still something that is valid. It's more like 1.3. The newer scenarios, but to me, if you're planning for infrastructure, 0.2 feet isn't.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be a make or break in terms of designing the project necessarily. I think the numbers basically, and when we did our 2024 update to the Maine Won't Wait Climate Action Plan, our recommendation to the state was stick with 1.5 and 4, even though those numbers are slightly lower. Like I said, it's like 1.3 and 3.7. Now based on the newer scenarios for central estimates, so it doesn't make sense to deviate from those. Because they're still within, first of all, they're within the band of uncertainty. And then second of all, we're still gonna hit those numbers. It's
Right.
just when, is it gonna be 2050? Is it gonna be 2060? So scenarios may be about a decade later. So
Yeah, so chances are the
5 or 10
infrastructure is still gonna be around.
and infrastructure will still be around, and there's still no indication that there is ever going to be a drop in sea level rise. So that is even more important to think about in terms of adapting critical infrastructure for, you know, for the future. That's gonna last 70 to 100, 150 years.
We have a solid list of everything that's critical.
We have a solid list, yeah. So there are 30 high priority roads. And then by, that jumps to, well, right now there are like 36. We've kind of prioritized the top 30. By 2050, that jumps to like 64 or something like that. I have the numbers memorized and clearly they've trickled out of my head, but yeah, there's a lot of roads that.
Yeah.
And then we also have like clusters of roads. So for example, in Pine Point and Higgins Beach, like there's lots of roads there that are impacted, but we really need to be thinking about those areas on a neighborhood scale and like. And really, we're going to be very limited in anything that the town can do in those areas because they're in sand dune systems. And they're very tightly packed in there. And so super limited in things that can happen in those areas. But really we need to be thinking initially about like evacuation routes. So like Pine Point Road is like down closer to Jones Creek is gonna be like a critical spot. Ocean Ave at Higgins Beach, that floods and flooded during the January storms. So those are kind of the two really critical ones in addition to Route 1, the upper end of Route 9, Payne Road, Black Point Road.
Yeah, I was gonna say Black Point, in my time of living in Scarborough, Black Point never flooded, it flooded twice
Mhm.
in 2000.
Yeah. So,
That's 25 years, so.
Yeah.
What is there, is there, ordinances or other regulations that need to be in place for this work to happen?
so not necessarily for like the municipal, like infrastructure type work, but there was an ordinance review done, by our consultants and they've basically identified, areas where, that we should think about, kind of, making changes so that to kind of either limit the development in certain areas or development is allowed in those areas, make sure it's like elevated and thinking about stuff like that and citing other towns in Maine and New England that have like as with representative language that we might want to look at and consider. And so I don't know, Autumn, do you have any thoughts on the ordinance stuff that was recommended in the vulnerability assessment?
No, not other than just having the conversation with council, and seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
We're going to have, the second growth workshop on November 19th with council. And we're going to get into the recommendations from the comp plan, the open space, the vulnerability assessment, and the parks and facility master plan. So I think that'll be where I have more to offer.
Yeah, and so obviously the conversations around like growth in general, but then like how do all of these plans tie into growth and how are there things that we can put in place to either limit development or make sure it's being done in a way that is responsible to and responsive to the plans that the town has recently completed. And Pete?
I was just kind of asking Jamie, I mean, like, I guess staff, I'm sure, has had this discussion, but does it make sense for the Conservation Commission to recommend something to council instead of like the town's engineer or your consulting engineer or?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to have these conversations because it is often the town council representatives are coming to us and saying, you know, what are your priorities? And so let's have a conversation about what's in the plans. Yeah, it would be great for staff to kind of be able to weigh in a little bit more on stuff like that, but it doesn't always happen. So sometimes it's good to feed this to you.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know
Hey,
how you back because
I
it
think
seems to me
we're-
like, hey, engineers, what are we supposed to design this to?
Yeah.
Not, hey, Conservation Commission,
Yeah.
what do you think is a good
We-
number?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are going to have, so we'll have the workshop on the 19th that I mentioned, and then department heads. Also, we'll have a meeting with council before they go into goal setting too. So we will get to have an open dialogue with them about this too.
Yeah, and
So
it's
we'll
more, I
get to
think,
do that.
just like, staff is gonna come up, work with our consultants and stuff and come up with recommendations. But then also share them with you all so that you can kind of, will be aware and have, you know. I mean. I'm bummed, obviously, that you were leaving, Pete, because you were the person to bounce this stuff off. I mean, you're the,
Still bounce stuff off me.
yeah, I know, but just not in the setting, you know, unless we can get you to come back to meetings from time to time as an advisory member. We can have advisory members.
Yeah, we can.
So,
And guests. We're always having guests.
so, yeah, I know, I'm like, everyone's like, you have Pete Slavinsky on your conservation commission, and I'm like, well, till December. And then he's out.
Find out.
Pressy.
Just the two new town council member, I'm not too new, I mean, Karen is obviously incumbent, but Michelle Hayes is part of the, not so fast Scarborough. They're gonna be very interested in revisiting, I'm assuming, the long range planning, that our long range plan. Do you foresee any that will happen, and what kind of timeframe? And is there an opportunity for us there to contribute anything?
So the comp plan.
If I don't think. So we had a lengthy workshop a couple weeks ago where we started talking about the different development components and tools that we have to regulate growth. And so really the comp plan it's fairly vague, and it allows for a lot of flexibility within our zoning ordinance, subdivision ordinance, and all of our other ordinances. So I don't anticipate us going that route. The comp plan is usually a 2 to 3 year update process, and you can get a lot more done a lot quicker in other areas in the zoning ordinance and subdivision. So I don't think we'll have to update those. I think we will have conversations, especially on the 19th, about zoning, design standards, but we're also going to have conversations about LD 1829 and some other laws that change that really prohibit what we can actually do to regulate growth moving forward after next July.
And just a question, if we change our zoning, does that give us an opportunity to blunt some of the effect of LD 1829?
No, not necessarily, because 1829 says if you have water and sewer, the smallest lot that you can require is 5,000 square feet. And there's also another LD that requires residential be allowed anywhere commercial is allowed. So we really have to figure out some other more creative ways to figure out what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
yeah, it's kind of coming at us from all angles. So we use every tool in the toolbox right now to regulate and slow growth, and we're still really fast. And I think that's what people don't necessarily understand. We have impact fees, we have a rated growth ordinance, we have all these things that a lot of places do not have. But we're really going to have to take a look at some creative ways so we at least can get the development that maybe it's the same density, but it's with a tree save in the front. Maybe it's the same density, but the design of it's a little bit different, a little more natural. So
the low impact sort of design.
Development.
Where does it?
How does it fit everything?
Yeah, so low impact development is an ordinance that the town is going to be required to adopt because of our stormwater permit, and that is definitely going to be a tool in the toolbox for that. And I mean, it might not necessarily slow down growth, but at least it will ensure that development is. It should ensure that development is having less of an impact on stormwater and natural resources. It's kind of, looking at a site holistically rather than, I have a parcel, I want this large of a building, I'm gonna stick it here and then try to figure out everything else. It's like looking at the parcel, seeing what kind of limitations and resources exist and designing around those. So it really is going to kind of change how development can happen on a parcel. And so I was really happy to see, Cressy, that you suggested that be one of the commission's priorities, because that is something that we need to really get moving on. Because we are kind of up against a deadline with that one.
Yeah, I thought that would be, kind of critical given what's coming down the pike.
I will add too that while LD 1829 sounds really awful and it does have some big impacts on us, it doesn't have any effect on what we can do for commercial development. So that's where you can have a great impact as well. It affects residential, but we still can do a lot of creative and updating changes to our ordinances for commercial as well. So like impervious area and things like that we've talked about before. So those are still on the table.
I had a follow-up question, Autumn, for both you and Jamie. Have we seen a significant change in things as it relates to success and or feedback associated with our buffer ordinance, number one, and then number two, last year, the town adopted the new floodplain management ordinance, which was plus 2 feet above BFE. How have those played out? Have they been effective? Have they been beneficial?
Yeah.
It's kind of a loaded question, but.
The wetland setbacks have been beneficial, Pete, and I mean, it's really limited what we ended up putting into place. They haven't really been that big of a deal for developers either. They've been able to figure it
Well,
out.
they shouldn't be. I mean, they were pretty minimal.
But it has been helpful.
Isn't a big deal.
Do one.
Yeah. Yeah, to which Angela was like, well, maybe we should make them bigger then.
Right?
Yeah. And
I mean,
we may,
did say we'd come back to it.
Yeah.
in
Well, yeah,
this
and then-
context that we
Oh,
are now, we may have more support to make those bigger.
Yeah. For sure, knowing that this is coming, we may have that LD 1829, 1928, I can never remember. Thank you. We might have, yeah, right, I never remember. We might have more support to increase those setbacks if it means that there will be less development as a result.
Mhm.
So.
Can we just say that one of our goals is to see the passage of the recommendations from the vulnerability assessment?
Yeah, I mean, so that's going to be like a very long term.
Yeah.
So probably just supporting, recommendations from the vulnerability assessment, because there's no way we're getting to everything, in that plan, and it's going to take a lot of money for the town to
So
work on that.
I think I wanna separate town council's goals and the conservation commission's goals. I haven't thought of our goals before to be limited to a specific year, because everything we're working on is long-term. So you can take a little piece of it, but I don't know that we would see something that was like, this year, we're gonna see from start to finish this enacted. It does take a long time. I know town council will have like that year's goals. And I don't know necessarily that we need to align directly, but hopefully our goals will inform them what they want to accomplish in a particular year.
Well, and I will say it is helpful when committee goals align with council goals,
Yeah.
because
And there's
everything
positive action.
and everything, yeah, trickles down, and if it's a council goal, there will be, kind of incentive and motivation to move it forward.
Yeah.
And so, like, we got into the situation with the wetland setbacks, where I think because that wasn't necessarily a council goal, we spent a lot of time like spinning our wheels and getting this kind of getting going. Whereas if that was one of their council goals, I think they would have been much more motivated to, take it up and support it, from the get-go.
Mm.
So, it is helpful to have alignment there. And just knowing that we, Karen typically comes to us at the end of the year in preparation for their goal setting to say, what are your priorities? What are your goals? It's helpful so that if we have these conversations to kind of give her suggestions that will then, be work that this group will work on over the year.
Follow-up question. I know community rating system, CRS, is one of the things that we had set as a goal. And I never really thought I was comfortable with that kind of being a conservation commission goal, like education and outreach associated with it could be,
Yeah.
but. Is that something that might carry over? Like, is that something that council might want staff to participate in?
Autumn has thoughts on that.
Or,
I drafted a memo for you all about that. I don't know. It's not something that I can do with my current staffing.
Yeah, so our
Huge
flood.
under-
And
our
it's
floodplain
definitely a
administrator is retired.
staff-driven exercise. It's not a committee.
Right.
Brian's retiring. So,
Brian's retiring and,
yeah, so we really don't have the staff capacity right now to take that on because,
One of the recommendations that came out of the Infrastructure Resilience and Rebuilding Commission was. That a county level. I think it's probably would be housed with one of the RPOs, but county
Wait, define
level
RPO.
staff, we're sorry.
regional
Planning
planning
Organization.
organization, thank you. Got it.
County level staff will be supportive of the community efforts. In other words, there's a model from Cape Cod where they hired a CRS coordinator. Who is an individual who works at the county level and works with all the communities in Barnstable County to not only get their information together, but also to submit it to FEMA to get, credit and all that for becoming a higher score in the CRS system. And that is a model that Maine is trying to
Oh,
introduce.
that would be great.
And I think
That would be
that
great.
is going to be coordinated through the Maine Office of Community Affairs. So just something to keep in the back of your minds, because if that staff level thing happens, and it's supposed to, there's funding for it. That will provide some additional outside staff support for communities to pursue that goal.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Pete.
yeah, that's
Yep.
good to know. So the Maine's trying to do it, like do you know how far along they are?
I
And
don't, I know it was one of our recommendations in the report, and then. It was placed into MOCA with funding. Under Brian Ambrette,
Mhm.
Brian, his staff, I forget, he's in MOCA now, I forget.
Oh, he's not in GoPIF anymore? Or is Mocha part of GoPIF?
No, MOCA is not part of GoPIF, MOCA is its own thing, Maine Office of Community Affairs, his
Thank you.
office.
I was like,
Yeah.
speak English.
So basically-
Sounds like we're.
And it'll be in that, and there's funding to do it, I just don't know where that is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Double shot of GoPro.
No, I appreciate that. So just because I know Karen had asked about it before, so is it just fair to assume that that community rate system, it's not a commission specific thing, it's more of a staff?
I don't see how, because
Yeah.
you have to go and find permits, you have to change the way you. As a town log things that come in, you have to change certain ordinances, you have to adopt certain standards for open space, calculating things, there's a lot of things that go into your overall CRS score.
Yeah.
And just doing the basic things is still a pretty big task.
Yeah.
So getting higher scores becomes more and more difficult, but studies have shown, and I actually didn't believe them until I saw the studies myself, that lower CRS communities are more resilient with flood. In other words, they bounce back quicker, they have things in place to be able to, just streamline the way things happen after big damaging floods, et cetera, et cetera. So that was really promising, because for the amount of work that goes into it, there has to be a benefit.
Yeah, right.
And it has to be a benefit other than just lowering insurance rates.
Yeah.
And it only lowers insurance rates for properties that are in the floodplain. You're outside the floodplain and you buy flood insurance. It doesn't matter what the community CRS for is, it will not lower your flood insurance. It's only for the community or only for individuals that are in the floodplain, they get a lower rate. So that's important to point out.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Just so we can close that. loop.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then Cressy, I also wanted to touch on, another comment that you,
Karen's here
Karen's
somewhere.
here.
Karen, we didn't know.
I know. Where's Karen? Is she,
Must be phone.
I have to promote her.
That's why she's raising her hand.
Right. Glad someone noticed that. Welcome in, Karen. Sorry, we didn't notice that you were in the meeting.
That's okay. I've been enjoying the conversation. I just wanted to pipe in about the community rating system, but also just generally, like, I think some good ideas come out of you guys, and I don't necessarily always think the work's gonna come back to you, but having your support when it comes to council, like, I think with community rating system, I understand it's not something that you guys would dive into. But if we continue to pursue it or think about it, just having your general support and I think better understanding of what it is always helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
The other item I wanted to touch on was in Cressy's email was, our impaired streams. So, Scarborough has 3 impaired streams. Long Creek, which, is primarily, we have a little bit of the watershed down to the stream is in Scarborough, but we are part of the Long Creek Watershed Management District. Red Brook, which, is right next door to Long Creek, and flows into, Clark's Pond, in South Portland, and then Phillips Brook, which flows through kind of Dunstan Corner area and into the marsh. So we do have watershed management plans in place for all 3. And we are currently working on an update to the Red Brook Watershed Management Plan. Just had a meeting about it today, as a matter of fact. So that plan was completed back in 2011, so it's really out of date. And so we are working on an update of it currently, working closely with DOT and Maine Turnpike Authority because they are large landowners in that watershed. Basically the 295-95 interchange in like Scarborough, South Portland, that's in the Red Brook watershed. So working on that plan update, and then we have not done a restoration or water quality project in Phillips Brook in a couple of years. We one of the very first projects I worked on when I started here was a restoration project down at the old Public Works laydown yard near Dunstan Corner. So there's a list of projects in the Phillips Brook Watershed Management Plan of areas to address. A lot of them are culvert issues, and as we are learning, culverts are super expensive, super expensive. So even, you know, tidal culverts especially, but even freshwater culverts to be sized appropriately and do all the modeling so that we're sure we're not flooding out downstream properties and things like that. Or upstream properties, depending on where we're working. Yeah, they are large culverts, and there'll probably be like $1 million projects that we can seek some grant funding for. But definitely municipal investment would be related to those also. So there is work happening in both of those watersheds, definitely not as quickly as probably most people would like. But there's, it's still on our radar for stuff like that. So yeah, and Cressy, was there anything else on your list that you had?
Was that I just thought it would make a sort of a natural dovetail with our interest in getting, bigger setbacks, more buffers. And I think that would be sort of a low tech way because, less expensive than culverts. And, if maybe some of those streams would benefit from that in terms of, at least keeping them from getting worse than they already are. So.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate Autumn's comments that now might be a good time to think about increasing buffer width, since the smaller buffer widths that we were able to get past haven't been too much of a barrier to development, and it might be a way to address some of the growth that's happening. Autumn, you unmuted. Do you have thoughts?
Oh, I was just gonna say, you might also mention that we're moving forward with the tree care board or advisory ordinance. And that's just public rights of way, but in the conversations council mentioned, and I know Karen, we really wanted it to be something different when we started. But there seems to be a desire right now to at least do something with commercial tree preservation. So that could be something that the conservation could be on board with as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Some of the comments that I'm seeing on Facebook are stop cutting down all the trees and building houses, and also don't tell me I can't cut down a tree on my property.
Yeah, that's why it might be a good sorry, my dogs, somebody must just got home. We do the public rights of way and the public lands, and then if we could start to work and think about how maybe commercial properties get affected, that might be a good way to break into that.
Yeah, I feel like some of them. Alluding to some of the comments at Sustainable Scarborough Day was more people talking about just like in their development,
Yeah.
like their bylaws or whatever, prevent them jazzing anything up or making it look better, or they have to cut everything down, so. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's something we can necessarily do, but, you know, just in the spirit of, you know, maybe an ordinance. That
I told somebody to show up 2 years ago, yeah, 2 years earlier, yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
yeah, but follow what's happening at Conservation Commission. Public comment seems to always be, or there's a lot, and we can count on it, on invasives and pesticides. Pesticides and invasives, and I don't know to what extent we want to take those on as goals.
yeah, I know. I get probably at least a call a week about Phragmites and what are we doing about Phragmites?
Goats.
Goats will take care of so many things.
Yeah, right. And Phragmites is a tough one because it is very prevalent, and really the only thing is like injecting every step with Roundup.
This is a horrible management technique for all of it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, same with bittersweet. It's like, it's everywhere, but do we really want, is that the approach we want to
Yeah. Autumn has a hand up.
I was wondering like what we can do for Phragmites. Karen Martin and Helen and I are all walking Route 1, and we're finding lots of little secret pockets of things that we have in the right of way. And so with the tree care ordinance, I'm hoping that we'll start to take a more proactive approach to trees and invasives and whatnot. But it would be really good to have this commission's input on I don't know what we can do. And we'll obviously have to hire professionals, but what is out there that we can do to take care of those things? Because we are finding a lot of it.
Yeah, there's not a lot that can
Really.
be done. Yeah, within,
Prevention though, or?
yes, kind of, like don't clear cut stuff, like don't disturb the soil. Don't let them take hold, but I mean, they're invasive for a reason. They can outcompete the natives, yeah, yeah.
I do wonder, we talked a little bit about, you and I kind of in a while back about like homeowner, like some guidelines for homeowners or property owners to like think about how to steward the land, and wondering like about that, because that is a place where like on your own little place, you can do better things for the soil. You can take better care of, the trees that you have. You can tend to like the things that are happening on the land where you live, and then that lessens the impact for your neighbors. Things like that. So, I mean, I wonder if that would be something of interest
Best
to
management
people.
practices.
Yeah, like all that
Yeah.
kind of like make a kind of manual, or not manual, that's a, but like
Like a guidance.
advice for,
I'm sure it's already out there.
yeah, no,
Yes.
I
We
mean,
could just adopt it.
for sure.
Change it slightly.
Yeah.
And not call it best management practices.
Well, yeah. That's standard words for those things.
But I mean, I just feel like that would be
Mhm.
helpful to kind of address some of the comments maybe that we've been getting and to
Mhm.
help people feel empowered to do something.
Yeah,
So you're getting some calls.
Educational, but also tips,
Yeah,
what you can do,
yeah,
be part of
because
it.
I think that's what people are looking for, right? Like, how do I make some impact?
Yeah.
Um,
I have a follow-up question on, goals, when did we adopt, or when did town council adopt the 30 by 30?
it
Was
was
it last year or the year and a
June
half?
2023.
Okay, do we have a,
Do you want an update?
do we have an update?
I can give you an
What have we
update.
accomplished over the last?
Yeah.
They're getting
Half.
bored.
There's sand was poured.
Yes.
Yeah, let me pull up my spreadsheet, and Andrew might know this off the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might,
Well,
We have the person in the room that has.
let's
Well,
say the,
but also, it's not just a private organization. It's, what's the town doing
Yeah,
to make, its land, permanently conserved?
Yeah, we could get a
Right? There's
lot
not
of
just one
land.
source of this 20 by 30. I mean,
yeah, I
30 by 30.
mean, yeah, definitely, and Pete, you've brought this up before, like the commission years and years and years ago had kind of made recommendations on various parcels
Yep.
that the town should consider permanently conserving, and I know you, Scarborough Land Trust approached the town about some town parcels to permanently conserve, and I don't know where that stands.
It's sitting with Tom for a while, but he said he will get it going here, so we have a request in. To transfer certain parcels to us, which would then also have. The same language we use, the same covenants and restrictions when we use land bond money. That basically restricts and gives the town. Enforcement capability on those covenants and restrictions, so it's basically permanently conserved. There's a bunch of parcels, and then there's also a request to put conservation easements on 2 town parcels. That already have a conservation easement on the center of it. And that's up kind of between Cumberland and Route 1.
I was gonna ask if you're able to share kind of what you've provided to Tom. Are you able to share that with
Yeah,
us? And-
yeah, well, of course, you guys have to get it as part of the process.
Yeah, so, I mean,
So-
I could ask Tom for it, but I might get it quicker from you. if I
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, he asked us, because the original letter date was so old. When we actually submitted to him, he asked us to update the letter with. More recent, so, as soon as, Scott gets that update, we can get it to you too.
Great. So,
And then we also talked about homeowners associations, right?
mm,
I feel like we talked about that.
well, yeah, so anything that is designated permanent open space, through kind of the planning board process for subdivisions and things like that is included as part of 30 by 30. Sometimes that gets turned over to Scarborough Land Trust, and sometimes they hold it themselves. So the way that it works when we kind of add sand to the display is once a real estate transaction has been completed. So it's not like, when the town authorizes spending from the land bond or anything like that. It's like once the real estate transaction is complete, that's when we'll count it, because who knows what can happen between when the money is authorized and when the transaction is finalized. Like, lots of things can happen. So once we know it's actually conserved, is when we'll add it. So, our open space plan said that Scarborough had 6,973 acres already conserved. And since April, my tally says, we've conserved an additional 328.5 acres. So we're at 20, we went from 23% in our open space plan to 24%. Over the past 6 months or so, and the bulk of that was Scarborough Land Trust, but also Larrabee Farms was conveyed to the town also, so the wetland mitigation sites, that was 130 acres that was conveyed to the town also. Does that sound right, Andrew, those
Yeah,
numbers?
that sounds right.
Right, so we need another 1,871.5 acres to reach 30 by 30.
We've got less than 5 years to do it.
Yes, so whether we reach 30 by 30 or 30 by 31, 32, 33, like still kind of progressing towards that, and having the land bond is certainly helping move things forward more quickly than they would have. From what I hear, Scarborough Land Trust is very busy with opportunities to conserve land. So there were, was it 3 before council last week or 2?
Yeah, 3, 2 Scarborough Land Trust and 1 Maine Farm Land Trust.
Yeah.
What's the total acreage of town-owned land that could be put into easement or permanent conservation?
I don't have that number. off the
Well,
top of my
not
head.
either off the top of my head. It was pretty, I mean, it was decent amount,
I wanna say it was it 500 acres maybe?
something like that.
Other 1%?
Yeah, I don't know that all 500 makes sense. And so I think that Scarborough Land Trust has gone through the process to see kind of, you know,
Okay.
what makes sense. To get into, like, either it's, you know, it's identified in the open space plan as being in one of like the critical areas or the priority areas, or it's adjacent to other existing conserved areas and things like that. Cause like we've got some industrial land down on, in this, another part of town. It's like that theoretically could be conserved, but should it be?
Right.
Yeah, probably not, so. Oh, and then also I need to actually figure out, there's a parcel that like is technically is conserved, but we didn't have it, it's a town parcel that is conserved, but we didn't have it included, so I need to get the acreage of that and have that added to the count also. It's the area like next to Starbucks, kind of by the enclave, between the Starbucks and the enclave, section over there. And I wanna say that's another 10 to 20 acres that we didn't have accounted for. And our town clerk is like, oh yeah, I've got all of the deeds. If you ever wanna go through all of the deeds, I was like, I do not wanna go through all of the deeds. I'm like, that sounds like a great job for an intern.
Yeah.
To go through all of the deeds. That is not something I'm gonna have time for.
Speaking of time, I'm looking at our agenda. And I wonder if we can all just be maybe thinking about like goal setting and things we might want to bring.
Yeah, I just was hoping to get the ball rolling tonight
Yeah.
so that when we meet again for our final meeting of 2025, we might have some of other thoughts and ideas to suggest as that be considered as part of council goal setting.
And if I feel like if you have ideas, like also email us a great.
And
number for us to-
council changes in a November meeting, right? So, and goals will be decided in like January.
Usually January.
Okay.
It's our next meeting.
We'll talk about our next meeting date, because we're up against Thanksgiving and then December's is up against Christmas, so we'll probably bump it out a week or two and then not meet again until our regular January meeting. But we have the SLT NOAA grant representative to add.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yes,
Yes.
so you saw the email. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're certainly reaching out to a number of community groups just to have them part of that advisory group process. So they'd love to have somebody that is a commission member sit on it. Probably not me, since I'm already sitting on a bunch of stuff over there, but so if anybody's interested, I mean, it's a great opportunity to collaborate around the marsh, about marsh restoration, about education around that process. There's like 10 different, you know, local and state and federal groups that are involved, and also 5 nonprofits, including the Land Trust, Maine Audubon, others. So I think it's a nice opportunity if, you know, people are really excited about the marsh.
Aren't our staff already involved in that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the town of Scarborough is already,
Town of Scarborough is already involved. Yeah.
so what do we add? because we're town of Scarborough.
I think it was, specifically around, a member of the Conservation Commission and sort of the leverage that we have in advising the town. Andrew, do you have anything more from that perspective? Because I know this came from Therese.
Yeah, this is specifically for the outreach committee of the NOAA grant. So, the town is a, contributing partner for the overall grant. And then Jamie also sits on, I think what we call the STAG, the Science and Technology Advisory.
I think I'm technically on the outreach committee also, but I have not been able to make a meeting yet, so, but yeah, I get those notifications as well.
So we have two advisory groups, basically, one for the science component of the grant, and one for the outreach and education component. And so, Maine Audubon and Scarborough Land Trust kind of co-lead the education outreach part. And we're looking to broaden that committee.
And I think it's a way, I'm gonna talk about this a little bit when we talk about the climate action plan, but just trying to get more residents involved so that they're reaching kind of more corners of Scarborough. And so having kind of people who have community ties and connections, I think is what they're looking for in order to get kind of the feedback and help make connections within the community also. So trying to find opportunities to bring information to people rather than trying to bring people to the information, and so having the local representatives is really helpful with that.
Is there a deadline for someone to step into that?
I mean, I think it's as soon as we can, but I don't think
Okay.
there's a hard deadline.
Okay.
So if everybody wants to go in, think about it unless somebody's itching to raise their hand.
Oh, Creighton's got his hand raised.
Okay. Are you volunteering or do you have a question?
Yeah. I volunteer.
Awesome.
Excellent, thank you,
All
Creighton.
right.
Yeah, all right,
Thanks, Creighton.
man.
That was easy. Look at that.
I will have Therese get in touch with you.
Cool.
Just to give you all the details.
It's exciting.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Literal, raise the hand.
Be careful what that signifies.
Town
Thank you.
council update, Karen?
Hi. So I'm sorry I missed the earlier conversation. I did not hear what the next steps were for Sawyer Road, but I just wanted to comment also about, we voted unanimously to continue with closing it.
Minus one.
That's how I feel. I don't think it's gonna show up in our budget to improve it, so I think that's the only contribution I have at this point. I'm not sure what happens considering what happened over at Cape Elizabeth. We do not have a planning board liaison anymore, and I'm wondering if we should work with the planning board to create one. I just wanted to mention that, there's a development going on at the end of Broadturn Road. And at the planning board meeting, there was discussions about putting a new road between Broadturn and Payne Road, which to me just looks very wet. And I don't know if that's where Phillips Brook is, but that was when I was just disappointed to hear that conversation going on, creating access points, which when I pull up a map and I look at like what's behind the corner of Broadturn Road and Route 1, it does look very marshy and wet. And I'm not sure if that's right where Phillips Brooks goes, but that just kind of spurred me to be like, I think we need a liaison to be going back and forth between this and adding to that conversation. Because I know we talk about connectivity, but at what cost, I guess, for me? Because for me, when I look at that, I don't think we should be cutting through marshland to, accommodate development. So it would be great to, I think, maybe see if that's something the Conservation Commission wants to be involved with if it continues to go on. So and then you guys were just talking about your goal setting session. I think Autumn briefly spoke that I think we're very focused on zoning. I think we have some zoning issues that we need to figure out within Scarborough. I love the idea of creating more setbacks to at least, because again, I don't think the 25-foot setback was really that big of an impact for people. It was interesting to hear that we are contemplating town property that has not been converted to conserved land yet. I don't know if that's a goal the Conservation Commission could work on or just be like, let's pick up the pace and do it. You know, we've had this goal for 2 years now. And so to me, hearing that the Scarborough Land Trust has been identifying town property that they maybe want to acquire or that we should be converting, I think that should be personally done quicker. So, because the 30 by 30 goal is an ongoing goal for us, and hearing that, you know, the town has so many acres, it would be great to get that moving along and add those so we don't have to. So we don't have to deal with them not being conserved later. Or if we end up not having this goal anymore, I never know what's going to happen with the council, but I would imagine we'll continue that goal. And then just the conversation about the vulnerability assessment and open space plan, you know, I think again, we have staff priorities and then town priorities, resident priorities. I always think it's helpful to have your feedback, because I think the plans are enormous. They're huge, but you know, clearly staff's gonna be pulling stuff that they know are gonna be a priority, and then we're gonna have stuff that we think that we want to do. So I think always having your contribution when it comes to those things is gonna be helpful. And generally, you know, I'm just looking forward to hearing what comes out of these conversations. You guys always come up with great goals. You know, it was only brought to my attention recently that the community rating system was just not attainable. I wish if I'd known a little earlier, maybe we could have tried to have a conversation about what to do. I appreciate Pete's feedback. I'm imagining staff will probably explore that more. But I think, as Autumn said, it's a huge undertaking. But I don't want to, I don't want to lose the idea of that. I think there's a lot of things happening in states around us that we could learn from and benefit from. And otherwise, you know, like I think they said, we have the council turning over, so I will try to continue to be your liaison, and we'll see how this all shakes out. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
I have a question and maybe some discussion, if that's okay. I don't think I paid attention before, but it looks like there are 5 voting members of the planning board. Is that the total number of voting
There's
members?
2 alternates,
I know, but they're alternates, right? So non-voting.
unless there's not a quorum.
Right, there's 5
So
regular
the
members.
fact is just 5 is,
The-
that is it.
You would have,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That blows my mind. Yeah, so just 5 people on the planning board that vote. Okay, and it also looks like 3 are expiring this year. How many of those have the ability on our papers to renew?
There,
1 or 2?
one,
or two.
we're gonna only lose Rachel this year.
Okay.
And I don't think she's actually expiring. I think she's just stepping away.
So I'm just wondering, if, like a permanent guest, like we're gonna have, so I'm wondering if. Yeah, Autumn?
I was gonna say our newest alternate, he's only been to 2 meetings, is William Sedlak.
Yeah, I'm
He
going there.
is, yeah,
I'm going. So I'm wondering if we could invite a member of the planning board, to be the liaison to Conservation Commission.
Well,
And I have, yeah, and I think we're thinking the same thing. So Will Sedlak would be interested in coming to Conservation Commission meetings.
well, and I also, Maggie reached out to Kathleen and myself, and I don't know if she shared this with anyone else, but she's not planning on renewing. Her term is up this,
Oh, okay.
so we are going to have a vacancy on Conservation Commission.
Okay,
In addition to Pete.
Oh,
Pete's spot will be a
okay.
vacancy as well.
all right. Congratulations, Craig, moving for soup.
It's been there's been a lot of turning over in the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have something else?
I
to
was
say?
just gonna say, if you have to have a liaison from planning board come to conservation, it needs to be a regular member. And so I have the
Okay.
5. Will can't be the liaison. I mean, he could be a member of Conservation Commission and then sort of do
Right.
it that way.
Yeah.
But that's the
Got
problem
it.
I have with that.
Okay,
And then, yeah.
but yeah,
But we don't have an official liaison position, right? It's just kind of been cross-pollination up until this point, hasn't it?
right, I mean, it's sort of like I'd like to see us move to make this kind of thing official, right? And I think that's been the general sense, at least from the commission, and at least from our liaison council, and we just haven't quite gotten there yet. I think we're, yeah. So what are the steps to kind of get there? Autumn knows.
Karen, didn't you all create that role? We just didn't have anybody to fill it from the regular members at the time, so Bennett stepped in and did the dual thing while he was an alternate.
Yeah, so I am politely asking the town to start following the ordinance and let's actually, let's go to the
Yeah.
planning board and say, one of you 5 voting members has to be a liaison. And if, I think, I mean, we have to. I think watching that meeting, we need that voice there and we need it to come back and forth. I know you guys didn't meet last month, but I think it's important. That's why we did change the ordinance, so it does say that.
Okay, I couldn't remember if that had happened yet.
Yeah, we just struggle with planning board because there are only 5. So we have a liaison to long range, we have a liaison to transportation. Do you have a liaison to sustainability, Jamie?
Nope, I do
No,
not.
Rick was always the double.
Rick was the cross pollinator, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's not an official liaison, but it is helpful to have some crossover,
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, a member of this committee could apply to the planning board.
Mhm. I will have an opening, yeah, for sure.
You've done that before.
Who's got some free time?
Maggie did send an update for Parks and Conservation Land Board. Oh, Autumn, did you have something else? Alright. They are working on, aligning their evaluation form with the open space plan. And our open space consultant is creating a GIS-based app for them to kind of click or draw the area that is being considered, and it basically will help populate the scores, in their evaluation form. So we had a meeting about that a couple weeks ago, to kind of look at kind of where things stand now, provide some feedback, and it'll be ready for beta testing in November. And so it'll be kind of rolled out to the group in November as like to test recent properties that were evaluated to kind of see how the automated version compares to their kind of analog version that they've been using, their Excel spreadsheet and looking at multiple different maps and things like that. So and then I also just wanted to share that we do have it's not public, but we do have a dashboard for the 30 by 30. And it's also tracking progress on the open space plan. And so I have asked our consultant to add the most recent additions, the 300 and something acres. And so once that's in there, then we'll kind of get it live, and it'll be available for people to see what's been conserved and then see the different actions that came out of the open space plan that are in progress. And so I'll share that once it's ready to be shared, but I think it should be, I think by the end of October, I can share that out. Transportation Committee there's a Complete Streets workshop happening tomorrow night at Public Safety. Is that where it's happening, Autumn?
Yes, public safety 6 to 7:30. It's a complete. Oh, sorry, Jamie.
No, you describe it. You're involved.
It's a workshop. We partner with GP Cog and we have a consultant leading the project to do, it's a complete street guidance manual and traffic calming toolkit, building on our policy that we have. So tomorrow night is a presentation and then an interactive exercise where we'll have tables that are looking at some problems and taking some street calming options and dollar amounts put to those and seeing what we can come up with, and then getting feedback on complete street models.
And so Complete Streets, for those, if you don't know, it's basically considering all users of the road, not just cars. So pedestrians, bikers, walkers, everything. And trying to make it more kind of active transportation friendly. Sustainability Committee is exploring opportunities for kind of rooftop municipal solar arrays. That's kind of the biggie. And so talking about how we may be essentially the climate right now for renewables is not ideal, but it could still kind of provide the town with some stability in our kind of energy expenses and over the long term, even if we do kind of explore some different models for accessory solar arrays, either rooftop or my personal favorite, covered solar park or solar covered parking in
Yes.
parking lots.
It's a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's more expensive, but it, lots of other benefits that go along with it, so, so. Kind of looking at that and, maybe hopefully, including it as a capital improvement project in the, next budget. To do some kind of evaluation of, town facilities, and to essentially put out an RFP for solar development. And the model would be zero upfront cost to the town to actually. For these solar arrays, that we would hire a company to design, install and maintain them, and the town would just buy the electricity from them. So just a good model that will cost the town nothing and hopefully stabilize our energy expenses over the long term. It's always great.
Yes.
And then related to that is, we are kicking off our climate action plan this month. And we are going to be looking for someone to participate in the work group. Similar to the NOAA project, we're trying to get a good cross-section of the community together, for public engagement and things like that. And just to kind of have a good representation, of the community weighing in on some of the decision-making for the climate action plan. So we'll be, the work group will be a fairly short, time commitment, 3 meetings, starting in 2026. And so kind of have the plan worked out for, I can provide more information, but I didn't print it off and bring it with me, but what would be discussed at each of the 3 meetings. First one is essentially going over, the greenhouse gas inventory. Second meeting is identifying, barriers to like implementation. And the third one is, looking at kind of blueprints or plans moving forward to how to implement some of the recommendations that come out of the climate action plan.
You're able to share.
Yes,
Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah, I will set
So
that.
3 meetings at 25.
3 meetings in 2026.
Yeah.
I did do some climate action planning at UNE, so like I mean, given that those parameters, like I would be comfortable unless somebody else is really dying to do it. Because I would be happy to see that to anyone else. But you had asked.
Yeah, so the first meeting will be in person, and then I think the other ones will probably be either fully virtual or hybrid, so. I think the first one is going to be the longer one, going over a lot of stuff, so it'll be in person. And then we are also just getting underway with climate action plan. First step is also going to be developing a brand for the plan that will then be used throughout plan implementation into the future, so. And I'm hoping to use it for all of our sustainability related work. So that's kind of step 1 for staff and our consultant. And then they're also working on the greenhouse gas inventory and doing all the analysis so that when we have our first meeting in 2026 with the work group, all of that work will be done and we'll be kind of going over that information.
Excellent.
Great.
Nice.
Oh, and now for our last meeting in 2025, what are people, so, preferences, so again, our November meeting is up against Thanksgiving, our December meeting is on Christmas Eve. So, I don't think anyone wants to be here then, so I was proposing, December 10th. Which is the second Wednesday in December. And if that doesn't work, we can look at either a non-Wednesday or another,
It's good for me.
I know it's out for me.
okay. It'll be Pete's last meeting.
Oh.
So
So
do
this
we
would
have
be-
one
we
more
do have to have a
meeting
party,
between now and the
yeah.
end of the year is what you're saying?
Yeah, so we usually, December is kind of a long, so we
Yeah.
usually will meet early in December.
Happy for you,
Again,
Renee.
until our regular
Yeah.
meeting in January.
Correction, it'll be his last time that he can vote. It won't be. see you in 26.
Definitely sometimes, I'm sure. So we have a date?
I think December
December
10th, if that works for the majority. Christine, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah,
We don't know about Kate, or Cressy. Also,
Is Chrissy gone? Right, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can. I
Creighton,
can
does
check
it
with
work for you? Yes, okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Great.
Anything else, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
Thanks all.
Thank you.